Hello everyone and welcome to game 2 in a series between xSix Perfect and Krass here on Cloud Kingdom. Perfect spawning as the green Protoss on the top right hand side of the map. Meanwhile Krass spawning as the red Terran on the bottom left hand side of the map. Christmas colors this time around. Red versus green here on Cloud Kingdom, and we'll see what is going to go down. So we'll see what happens in the previous matchup. Perhaps Perfect noticed that there wasn't really that much that Krass did in game 1. Perhaps Krass experienced a little bit of lag, a little bit of miss micro at just the wrong time, and that is all it takes for everything to really fall apart. Perfect asking if Krass is a pro gamer. Krass says no, and xSix Perfect obviously replies with a semi. So I guess a pro-am tournament is perhaps the best way to describe him. I do believe that Perfect has won at least 5 digits in terms of tournaments. Last time I talked to him, I think around 5 digits in terms of tournament winnings overall from local tournaments such as this. Now, Perfect is going to be setting up a gateway here, not going for a very gutsy Nexus first this time around, instead going for the faster gateway. So it most likely will be a gateway followed by an assimilator, followed by another pylon, and then a cybernetics core, as that is 9 times out of 10 what Protoss players do try to do. SCV makes its way down into the low ground, making sure that there is no proxy gateway play, no random zealots now about to run inside his base as this game does continue. Perfect now going into a double gas build, so very heavy gas build. I'm not sure what Perfect wants to do here. Double assimilators. We do see another pylon off over here. Still no cybernetics core. And Perfect is going to be sitting on a fair amount of gas with really nothing to do with it until he at least gets a cybernetics core up and running. Cybernetics core now being built off inside the base here. You can see that there is only 2 probes per assimilator. This is a very big deal. Now, one of the reasons why you only notice 2 probes per assimilator here is that when you place down 3 probes in an assimilator, there is a slight diminishing return in terms of the overall gas. You can take a look at the income now. It is 192 or what 192, 176, and I believe normally it is 224 gas per or 112 gas if you do in fact try to get 3 probes on 1 assimilator. So back over here, you are going to see a slightly better rate of return as an SCV now makes his way down, and a probe is going to try to stop this SCV from building an engineering bay. No, the engineering bay has been placed down, and all this probe can really do is perhaps harass that SCV, force it to get taken out. And oh yes, the SCV does get destroyed there, as we now are establishing a pylon here on the low ground. Probe now joining in on the fight, deciding to get some easy damage on the engineering bay. I like this play by Perfect. Also, he moved his stalker over here towards the front door just a little bit more, just in case there were any units that would try to come in and deal a little bit of damage. We are going to see a bunker now established here as a command center already established by Krass. So Krass now with a very strong economic opening, but still with no gas, finally establishing one. We are going into double barracks, single gas now, and all Krass will have for quite some time is a whole bunch of Marines. These Marines may just be what the doctor ordered here in just a moment. We are going into a sentry now. We are getting that warp gate tech. Perhaps going to get into 3 more gateways. Are we waiting for 1 more? Oh, warping them straight underneath a scanner sweep. Perfect being revealed here, and now Krass knows what to expect. There is going to be a lot more gateway units. I would expect Krass to go into a tech lab in just a moment and try to get stim rather early, as stim pack does help those Marines and those Marauders take down a lot more units. SCV tried to slip by, unable to do so. 3 sentries down already on the field. We are going into a robotics facility now, and some probes are being transferred down. This Artosis pylon, if it does get taken down, will shut down the production of 4 buildings. You got to be really careful about that. Perhaps doubling up another pylon here would be enough to make sure that you don't lose that much time. Sentries now making a move out across the field. Stalker now still sitting at his Zelnaga tower here. This does look like your traditional sentry expand. More zealots being added on the field here as Krass now, I believe, does take a slight economic lead. He does have 2 mules in play compared to 0 since Protoss doesn't have mules. And we'll see if Krass is able to macro up a large enough army. He still does not have a factory as of yet. He is going into Stim Pack and Combat Shield, training up, now training up double Marines. So double Marines, double Marauders being trained up. That does, I believe, come out to about 12 food a minute. SCV needs to constantly just build up supply depot after supply depot to support it, as we are now going into a robotics bay. Robotics bay does mean Colossi. Colossi very effective against Terran bio. Perfect. Now backing off here, 60 over 62 compared to 60 over 60. Immortals now being added. So the Immortals will be even effective against those Marauders, but those Marines with that very high attack rate should be able to get through the hardened shields of those Immortals in just a moment. Engineering bay coming in as well. It is about 3/4 of the way completed. You can take a look at, there's also a factory being placed down as well, so we could be going into standard medevac play. A starport and a reactor should be coming in right behind this build. And all we really see is a lot more Marines, and so far no Marauders coming in from Krass. Perfect sitting at 70 over 76. Krass sitting at 76 over 86. Still has plenty of supply to work with, as we now see one Marine just march across the field. We can see that there is also one Immortals, a good number of Zealots, 6 Zealots at the front door, and now currently sitting on 4 sentries. Those 4 sentries should be able to stop any scouting, but oh no, this Marine's going to have absolutely free scout inside the base. Nope, the Immortal and the Zealots do make their way over just in time, as one Zealot trying to hold position, unable to hold that tower, as the Marauder does have a range of 6. Colossus now being added, extended thermal lance range. Stalkers still being trained up even once more. Perfect's now sitting at 91 over 100. Krass sitting at 93 over 102. One observer sitting inside the base so far. We are going into reactored medevacs at the starport, and we may be hitting a bit of a timing. 1-0 upgrades coupled with combat shield. Concussive shells also need to be researched as well. As soon as those concussive shells are done, we should see an attack march across the field from Krass in order to slow down or perhaps even destroy xSix Perfect, as the units are now making a move out. We see that there is one Colossi here sitting at the Zelnaga Tower. We are going to be going into some Marauders now, scouting out to make sure that there is no third base. Vikings are being added, and that is, 2 Vikings being trained at a time to deal with that one Colossus right now, but there is going to be a second one with extended thermal lance range in just a moment. We should be getting into a 6 gateway build or 6 warp gate build. The sentries, Zealots, and Colossi decide to now retreat and return back home, as they don't want any part of any serious engagement just quite yet. Medevacs now looking to do a drop inside the main base of Perfect, and this drop, if it goes unchecked, nope, it looks like it will just drop down off over here. It may go unchecked. We'll see how these units are going to go down in just a moment. No, it looks as though the units are backing off here. So there is one observer keeping track of Marauders and Marines in the center. Colossi now attempting to take down the factory. The factory already down to 900, 800 some odd hit points. It will fall in just a second. More Stalkers now warping in as well. And what will that factory do? That factory will burn down, burn to a crisp, as we now see the drop coming into the main base. Here we go, Krass catching a completely wide open main base. Stalkers and Zealots now making their way over. Zealots getting quickly and easily destroyed by a good amount of stutter step. Zealots now trying to absorb a lot more damage, but this is not looking good. Perfect taking a lot more damage than he should by this drop, as the Colossi are now making their way over. Perfect now slightly behind in overall supply, 133 versus 114, a difference of about 18. All right, so Marauders and Marines now backing off into the center. There is one Marine hiding next to a Stalker. Apparently they're hiding in plain sight within each other's range here, as a Marine now holding down this other expansion location, the natural third. And Krass really needs to figure out what his strategy and plan is going to be. Vikings are still being added now. Tripoli, I and can see no tech lab on this one starport though, so no Banshees and not even a Raven, which would have helped out very much, as I believe there was an observer here, but now instead used a scanner sweep. Perfect, seeing now 140 compared to 156. Supply advantage definitely goes to Perfect. Upgrade advantage definitely goes, supply advantage definitely goes to Krass. Upgrade advantage definitely goes to Krass. Tech advantage, there just seems to be the right amount of counter units coming in from Krass to really shut down and take down one Colossi. Yes, one Colossus does get taken down rather easily, and Perfect now just needs to simply charge up this ramp and hope for the best. Vikings now making their way in. Colossi taking a lot of damage so far. One Colossus is down. A second Colossus may get taken down as well. It looks as though it will not yet, at least not by those Vikings, as the Colossi are still making their way over. The Marines and the Marauders still battling it out here. The Marauders benefiting from that force field much more than those Zealots were, as the Zealots could not get within melee range. Still trying to fight back here. You're seeing a Colossus, Stalkers, Sentries just making a move down. There is one Colossus left down on 93 hit points. It does not look good that the Guardian Shield is protecting it, but the Colossus finally does fall. The Marines and the Marauders able to push back this attack, and xSix Perfect now down to 122 supply compared to 133. Zealots are reinforcing. There's some force fields, and now Perfect may be able to do exactly what he needs to do in terms of turning the tide of this battle. A lot of medevacs in play, but the medevacs are pretty much out of energy. 91 compared to 102, and more units are still getting destroyed. We can see that there is a fair drop or a fair group of units off over here, but I don't see what they're going to be doing just quite yet. Marines and Marauders still battling it out. Another Marine could get taken down, as we now see a drop happening inside the main base. If this main base drop goes undetected, that would be huge in shutting down a lot of these workers. We can see now a major attack force prime and ready to hit at the main base here at the main natural expansion, but the Marines and the Marauders still finishing up any Zealot that comes our way, and really no upgrades on those probes is really what's causing the problem. No upgrades on those units. The Stalkers only going to be dealing, I believe, 8 damage per attack, while the Marines are going to be doing a full 5 to 6 damage, depending on if he's hitting armor or shields. Colossi now simply just trying to move into this location here, as the Marines and the Marauders are catching a Colossus in transit. Oh, getting taken down. That is not good news whatsoever, and the Marauders and the Marines live to fight another day. Terran tried to take another expansion over here, didn't work out. Colossi were able to make their way over, but now Krass with a 114 to 48 supply advantage should just be able to attack, move into the rest of Perfect space. 116 versus 52, and there is the well played coming in from Perfect. So Krass able to even up the series at 1 game apiece. Stay tuned for game 3.